filling inboxes with stuff. The average office worker in the UK gets 120 emails a day. It takes them 4 hours to plow through all of that content. Are we really asking our colleagues to spend half of their working life shackled to an inbox? Is that what we all signed up to when we thought we were going to go and get a job? Or perhaps it's the lies. Limp internal events. Dodgy meetings, dire strategy sessions, dull workshops. Managers are spending 23 hours a week trapped in meetings, and they hate them. 3/4 of managers said that they found meetings to be inefficient, ineffective, and they actually get in the way of the day job. They prevent them from doing good work. Perhaps that's why junior managers, who have to endure more of this stuff than most of us, are twice as stressed as their senior colleagues. Or maybe it's the crap. Communication revolving around posters, or whatever the comms channel of the week happens to be. For comms to land really well at work, you need to see it about half a dozen times. Our brains are designed to filter out stuff, not to remember stuff. But all too often, we just see people subject to what we call SOS comms, communication which is simply sent out. And it's just killing our organizations. Perhaps it's because only half the organizations in the UK have got a written down comms plan that so many of them are relying on this SOS comms, hoping, praying that some of it sticks, and simply sending out more and more in the hope that one day somebody will actually listen to them. And if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not sure my employer loves me. I'm not sure if my employer loved me, that they would subject me to all of these lies, fibs, and crap. And you wouldn't be alone. Some of you will have seen what Deborah said earlier on this morning when she kicked off, saying that between 11-13%, depending on what survey you look at, of UK employees are truly engaged. Now, that's a disastrously low number when you think we spend 90,000 hours of our lives at work. How could we do something that's so important for so long and yet be so disengaged? It's a really worrying situation to be in. And what's the cause of this? Well, we think the cause is bad communications. We think bad internal communications at work is killing organizations, and we want to do something about it. We would like you to join us and rebel against the lies, the fibs, and the crap, because we think our colleagues who are going to be at work for 90,000 hours deserve a better experience. So we hope you'll come and join us on that journey. But before we all rush off, what's the size of the mountain in front of us? What's the size of the challenge that we face? The first thing to say is it's costing the UK economy billions, literally billions of pounds a year. It's costing around £5,000 per employee, this ineffective, inefficient, late, and incorrect communications at work. So if we can sort this out, it's good for the bottom line. The second thing to say is it's really annoying our colleagues. 1/3 of people have considered resigning because of bad internal communications. Bad internal comms leaves people feeling confused, anxious, and unable to do their best job at work. And finally, 94% of us feel stressed at work sometime. But only 25% of us, just 1 in 4, feel comfortable talking to our managers about that stress. How can it be that we produce so much communication, but we fail to create an environment within which we're comfortable talking about the most important things? It just seems wrong. So we say, enough is enough. We think we need to do something about this. And what do we think is the solution to this problem? We think we need to put open and honest communication at the heart of every organization. We think open and honest communication will transform organizations and do away with the inefficiencies, the stress, and the anxiety that's currently there. So let's have a look at some evidence. Let's see if we can find something that will underpin that claim. First of all, it's good for profits. We can't avoid this fact, and we don't want to avoid this fact. It's good for profits. Organizations that put open and honest communications at their heart returned 47% more to their shareholders over a 5-year period. Now, a lot of the times we have to have conversations with finance directors and managing directors who are ex-finance directors. It's numbers like that that they will respond to. They will find that a very interesting number and a very interesting avenue to explore. The second piece of evidence I'd like to share with you is around organizations which say that they are driven by a sense of purpose, have engagement levels at 73% compared to the 23% for organizations that do not have that sense of purpose. And where do you get a sense of purpose from? A large part of that is good internal comms, which is delivering the sorts of messages and they're landing well with your people. So it's good for the bottom line and it's good for that organizational culture. And the third thing I want to share with you is that organizations which have open, honest, and frequent conversations between managers and their employees have 3 times the engagement levels of organizations that don't. Again, getting back to Deborah's point earlier on this morning, the relationship between the manager and the employee is absolutely critical, and it's very difficult to have a positive relationship if communication is so poor. So, I'm hoping you're thinking, right, that sounds good. I like that. I like the fact that we've identified that bad comms can kill organizations. Bad comms is really bad for our profits, and bad comms is really bad for the people who work in those organizations. But practically speaking, what can we do to bring open and honest communications into our workforce? Because that's the challenge that we all face, isn't it? We're all busy, we're all going through change programs, there's all transformation going on. What can we as a group do back in our workplaces that will make open and honest communications a reality? So what I want to do is I want to rise to that challenge, and I want to share with you what we're going to call our 9 building blocks that will help you bring brilliant communication into your workplace. So get your pens out, get your phones out, start scribbling, because I'm hoping that you'll be able to take the vast majority of these practical building blocks back to your organizations and use them wherever you're working. So, number 1, begin at the beginning. Good communicators understand their objectives. This isn't about ticking boxes or chasing fads. This is good business, yeah? You need that clarity of purpose. Be clear on what you're shooting for, and you can then arrange your communications around that. So that's the first thing I want to say to you. Begin at the beginning by being clear on your objectives. The second thing, get the right people in who know the right stuff. If I was to ask you, would you let somebody do your business accounts because they used to own a calculator? No, I don't think we would go there, would we? I think that would just be a ridiculous thing to do. But sometimes in internal comms, it seems to be okay to let people have a go. What's the worst that could happen? Well, you could cheese off all your staff, they could cheese off all your customers, and you could go bust. That's the worst thing that could happen. So let's get the right people in there with the right skills. No more this cult of the amateur, where it's okay to let people just kind of wander around internal comms and see if they can have a go. Yeah? So if you want to see a real difference on your bottom line, get some people in there who've got some real expertise. My third point, irritants kill open and honest communication. Irritants kill open and honest communication. You can get things that shouldn't be annoying, but are super annoying. And once you've kind of identified something that's annoying you, it's really hard to focus on anything else, isn't it? So it could be bad parking, an unfair bonus scheme, or it could be just some kind of irritating office practice which kind of grows arms and legs and becomes much more irritating than it should be, yeah? And once you've kind of got this irritant in your mind, you cannot focus on the day job. People will not engage with an organization which is irritating them. So you need to identify these irritants, you need to squish these irritants, and then you need to tell people how you've tackled the irritants so they give you the credit that's due. So irritants kill open and honest communication. I think you'll all be delighted to know we're going to move on to slide 4 now, which doesn't have any irritating noises. Number 4 is about linking your golden threads. So every comms activity that you do needs to be linked back to a business priority. And we call this link a golden thread. If you don't have these golden threads running through your comms, it's a recipe for inefficiency, irritation, and confusion. So always ask yourself the question, why am I doing this comms activity? This new, shiny, exciting communications activity that we've identified is going to deliver which business priority? If you can answer that question, you're probably going in the right direction, and good luck to you. If there's no clear and obvious answer to that question, you might just want to challenge yourself. Is this really where we want to focus our time and our resources? Because that golden link is what links you and makes you relevant from the comms activity back to the business priority. So our fourth item is make sure you've got a link through to your golden threads. And my clicker has just stopped working, which is interesting. So I'm just going to look at Adam, see if he's got a spare one. No? But if you just stay there, Adam, I might give you a little nod to click it through all the times for the batteries to go. So little and often. People hate what we call spiky comms. And by spiky comms, I mean a big flurry of activity, a deathly silence, and then another flurry of activity. If you put too much into the spikes, people just get inundated, and they just kind of ignore it. And the gaps between the spikes, this vacuum that you've allowed to fulfill, people fill it in with the worst case scenario. People will think, I know why there's no communication. There's going to be an office closure. We've lost a big client. Something bad is going to happen. So what you want to do is you want to make your good comms little and often. Think a steady drumbeat, a constant simmer. It's reassuring that you know that somebody is in charge of the comms that's going out. It could just be as simple as if you've got a staff magazine, it always goes out on the last Thursday of the month at 2 o'clock. Because we're in charge. We know what's going on, and we're good at our jobs. Yeah? So avoid that spiky comms. Instead, think little and often. You got it? Number 6, interactive. Interactive communications is communication that genuinely involves people. Good internal communication is communication that people can participate in. Nobody wants to be done to. Nobody wants to be treated like a dumb audience or just a kind of a passive observer onto what's going on. So genuinely get your people involved. Get them blogging, get them making videos, encourage their contributions. Do whatever it takes for them to acknowledge that they are an important part of the communications activity, not just something that sits at the end of the pipeline and gets dumped on every now and again. Yeah? So interactive communications. And we've got our cool little dog here because he's got 2 ears and 1 mouth, which is not a bad ratio to be thinking about in terms of a communicator as well. Thank you, Adam. Number 7. What we want you to do is mind the say-do gap. We've all worked in organizations where people say one thing and do another, and it's absolutely toxic. It can kill organizations because what you're doing, you're not only irritating people, you're not only letting them down, but you're saying that the unwritten contract, the unwritten rule around here is that it's okay to say one thing and do another. And once people have that light bulb moment, they go, okay, so if it's okay to say one thing and do another thing internally, it's also okay to do it externally. So it's okay to start letting our customers down. Is that what we're saying? So you've got to absolutely remember, you've got to keep your promises. Yeah? If you promise to do something, if you promise to get the staff magazine out at 2 o'clock on the last Thursday of the month, you absolutely have to do that. If your values say we are an organization that treats each other as family, and the senior leadership team just walk around the business and don't even say hello, good morning, people absolutely remember that stuff. And they go, okay, so not only have you kind of torpedoed your own values, but like I say, you made the point that it's okay to say one thing and do another thing. And that can have some very serious consequences within your business. Okay. Number 8, network, network, network. Being a good internal communicator is about having a really deep understanding of your business. You need to get out into the business. You need to listen to your colleagues. And really importantly, you need to be seen to listen to your colleagues so that the comms that you produce is founded on them going, yeah, these people have been out. They have been listening to us. They have been taking us on board. So get out there into the business. Get out of your bunker. Build a network. Understand what's happening. And then bring those insights back into your team and network with your colleagues and build a comms plan that is founded on the insights that you found so that your network is really working for you. So a great network is one of the most valuable tools you can have as an internal communicator within a business. And our 9th building block is tell tales. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but there is no part of your brain that has specially evolved to deal with spreadsheets. But looking at some corporate comms, you might be surprised to hear that, because an awful lot of corporate communicators seem to think, if we just put an extra few tables, if we just put an extra few pages into this 75-page report, I really think that's going to make it land. It doesn't, does it? And the number of times we've heard senior leaders say, if it's any more than a page, I'm not going to read it. Okay, I understand why. You're very busy. But then we expect our colleagues to read 75-page reports. And of course, getting back to the actions trump words, we ask our colleagues to produce 75-page reports knowing that nobody's going to read them. So it absolutely drives people mad. But what our brains are brilliant at, not spreadsheets, is images and stories. That's what we've evolved to process brilliantly. About a third of our brain is given over to images and stories. So let's turn our comms into stories. So whenever you next have to communicate something at work, I would really encourage you to think, how can we turn this into a story? How can we turn this into a set of images? So don't allow it to become a kind of a dry bit of comms that is just going to never, ever land anywhere. What's the story behind this? What's the story behind this new process? What is it that our customers say they want? Why are we doing this different? Find that light bulb moment that you can share with your colleagues, and that will be a much more effective use of your time. It will land much better, and we won't be irritating people by producing large amounts of comms that simply don't work. So that's our 9th building block. So if I just very quickly go through those again. Okay, them? You need to begin at the beginning. You need to get the right people involved. You need to kill the irritants. You need to link it to your golden threads. You need to think little and often. You need to be interactive. Actions trump words. You need to network, and you need to tell tales. And that is your recipe for brilliant communications. So I hope that all kind of makes sense. I hope that all glues together. So we said that we'd like you to come and join us on this journey as we rebel against the lies, the fibs, and the crap. So what can you do? You've got your building blocks. So let's just put a little bit of meat on those. So the first thing you can do is you can be brilliant yourself. Today, you can affirm never to be the source of any of the lies, the fibs, or the crap again. You can make that commitment that you will only ever be a source of brilliant communications. Be a superhero out there. Thank you, Adam. The second thing you can do is, when you see brilliant communications, celebrate it. Pat them on the back, shake their hand, buy them a chocolate bar, whatever you want to do, but say, I thought that was great. That was really good communications. Build that network of like-minded people who understand what good comms is like, and share it, share it, share it. Get it out there. Use social media, use conversations, tell tales, create imagery. Let people know that this is what really good communication looks like. And the third thing you can do is champion brilliant comms by calling out the bad stuff. So become like a brilliant communicating superhero. So you can put your pants on your head, you can put a cape on, you can do whatever you want to do to be that comms superhero. But if you see anything that is less than brilliant, be bold and be brave and say, I think we can do better than that. I don't think we should send that out. I just don't think that's brilliant enough. I think our colleagues are busy. They're trapped in meetings. They're dealing with too many emails. They're slightly confused by some of the comms we already produce. I think everything we produce should be absolutely brilliant. If we do that, they will be very grateful and the business will be much more effective. So we are going to invite you to come and join our journey. In the next day or two, you should receive via our good friends at Reward Gateway a Masgrove's Be Brilliant booklet, which is our gift to you. We'll also send you a VIP code so you can attend one of our free How to Be Brilliant events. And we will, for you very special people in this room, we have also receive a Be Brilliant starter pack, which has got all sorts of goodies in there to help you be a brilliant, brilliant communicator. So that's us. I think we have got some time for some questions in a second, but I'll just say thank you very much for your time. We've been Masgroves, you've been brilliant, and thank you very much.